Why I'm displaying it here? Because right now I have not given any permission. So even if somebody is able to access this thing, they won't be able to perform anything because this user is not having any access key. And I would be obviously disabling it in a minute. So this is my access key and secret access key looks like. I can click on close. So my users are ready, but they do not have any permission as of now. Let's work toward giving them permission. So what I achieved so far, if I go back to my requirement, I created users, I created groups, but I have not established the relationship between user and group. So let me now add these users into their respective groups. That's what we are going to achieve. Okay, so coming back to IAM, I would select my users, and through those users, I would add them into group. There can be multiple ways of doing the same stuff. You decide what works best for you. So let me go ahead to user groups here. So this is my dev group. I have no users as of now. Let me go to dev group and say, hey, I want to add some users here. So this is my users. I can click on add user and I should be able to select my users here. This is my user D1 and D2. And I would say, okay, let me add these two users. So done. Those two belong to dev group. Two users are present into this group. What about my other group? Let's go to my QA group and I would be adding users there also. So I'm going to my QA group and here I would be adding my QA users. Okay, I would ask one question here. Can a user belong to multiple group? All right, simple question. Can a user belong to multiple group? Yes, good. Everyone knows about it, right? So can a user belong to multiple group? Answer is yes. No problem at all on that. Okay, next question. This is the important question. Can a group belong to another group or what we call nested groups? What is your answer here? Right? Good. I'm getting a lot of no's and that's true. It is a no answer. No. We have a flat structure. Nested groups are not supported. No. So nested groups are not supported in AWS, and that's why if you see the UI says what you are creating user groups. It doesn't say just groups. It is a user group. So user group can only have user. It cannot have additional groups inside. There is no nesting. In Windows, yes, it happens, but not here. So what we achieved these particular specific things like D1, D2, Q1, Q2, and admin 001. They belong to this dev and QA, and admin doesn't belong anywhere. Let me now focus on permission. Permission in AWS are done by policies. So here is my section in IAM which is talking about policies. There are multiple type of policies. Let me focus on some very specific policies as of now. So what is a policy? See this definition. A policy is an object in AWS defines permission. So policy is basically group of multiple permission. Can you do X? Can you do Y? Can you do Z? And they all are combined into policies, and these policies are written into JSON document. If I show you some simple policies, it would be easy for you to relate to. So let me try to search some policies here. So these are some policies. Now, if you see this icon here represent that this policy is a AWS managed policy. So anything which is managed by AWS, you can't delete or modify that. Here, this icon is representation that this is a policy which is maintained and managed by AWS for you. You don't have control on it. You can't modify it. You can use it. You can copy it and reuse it, but you cannot directly modify it. So what AWS has done, they know that what are the common things somebody would be doing, like system administration, network admin, then we'll be needing some admin access. Maybe I would be needing something like database admin access. So we have created these policies for you to make your life little easier, and that exact same is applied here on a policy which is called administrator access. Let me do one thing. This may be a little smaller for you to view. So let me copy this information into a notepad and I would explain it what this particular policy is. So I copied it. This is a JSON document, right? It starts with these curly braces. This is basically starting of a document and end of a document. The statement here is a version. Now this version and date is not of when the policy was created. This is a version of JSON. the language in which this policy is created, that is displayed here. It is not the date when policy was created. Even if you create it today, the version would remain the same. And this is where important stuff is happening, that is called statement, right? What we are seeing here, effect is allow. So what I'm doing, I am allowing something. So that is saying, okay, what you are doing. So effect can be either allow or deny. Action. Action can be star. Star means everything, right? Or I can say S3 colon star, which means on S3 everything. Or I can say EC2 colon star means on EC2 everything. That is action. So action says what kind of API call you can make, what you are allowed or denied. So that is action. Resource, on which resource. So let's say if I give you a permission, let's say I give you permission S3 get object. So this is a permission on which resource. So on a resource, I may say, okay, that is only if you are having a bucket. Let's say his name is my bucket. Just give an example. So this is a resource means on which specifically resource. When I say resource star means everything, every resource, no restriction. Star is a wildcard which is matching every available resource in your account, and it is matching your all actions. So this is a very powerful policy. If you assign it to someone, he or she would be able to perform everything within your account. As you can see, very pretty powerful policy. Same thing like a James Bond policy. So better is to assign this policy to my admin user which we have created. So I can go to my user. Hopefully everyone is clear now what about the policy. So I'm going to my user here, and on that user I would associate the policy. So see this is my user which I'm interested in. It was created 11 minutes ago. I'll go to it, and I would be then associating a policy with it. Okay, this is one way. You could have added this user to a group, and the group could have a policy which may apply automatically to my user. So it is purely up to you how you want to perform these operation. So let me go ahead and quickly assign this policy. So this admin 007 permission wise, there is nothing on that. Let me add a permission, and in that permission I would select which policy. Here is my option to attach existing policies, and in that existing policy I would be selecting my administrative access, right? So this is my administrative access policy, as you can see here, and I can say done. And now I have added this policy to my admin 007 user. So that's how we are able to give policies. So what I did, I used a pre-configured policy which was given to me by AWS. Let's now see how we can create our own custom policies. If I'm tracking what I achieved this so far. I have given my admin 007 user full admin right, and he and she can perform everything. Let's focus on these rights here. For dev, I want to create a policy which will give them S3 full access and give them EC2 full access. Right. If you want, you may use a policy which is already given to you. So if you are creating a policy, best would be to check if a policy exists by default for that type of work or not. If a policy exists, I would save some time and will not be wasting time in creating it. But if you want to create your own policies, nobody is stopping you. You can create policies as many as you want. There should not be a problem. So I am first checking if some policy exists for Amazon S3. So let me search here in policies, which is 1073. I am searching for S3 related policies. Let's see. So these all are the policy which has something on S3, and see this, these are customer managed policy, which means I have created them in some time. And if you see this icon, these are AWS managed policy. So as you can see, there is a policy which says Amazon S3 full access. And if I read what is inside, it is pretty easy to understand. Let me copy it again and put it onto console so that you can relate to it. See this, this is saying effect allow action, two actions are allowed. S3 colon star. S3 has everything, S3 will be allowing everything here, that is done. S3 has a new feature now which is called object lambda. So object lambda is also where I am able to allow permission on that. So if I select this policy, that user group or role would have S3 full access, and they would have S3 object lambda full access on every S3 object and every S3 resource. So that's my policy. If you want, you could use it as it is, but if you are interested to write your own policies, nobody is stopping you. You can go ahead and say, I want to create my own policies. So I would be creating my own policies here. So what my requirement is, I want to create a policy for two things. First one is to give S3 access. Second is to give EC2 access. I can create two separate policy and attach it, or I can create one policy and we can attach it. Vijay Singh has a question. Can we edit existing policies? If you are the owner of those policies, if they are customer managed policy, yes, you can. But if it is AWS managed policy, you can't edit that. Right? Only customer managed policies can be edited, not your AWS managed policies. Okay. Now, one option for you to create a policy is to use a JSON. So if you like putting a lot of curly braces and brackets and colons and semicolon, go for that. If you do not like that, then you can utilize a visual editor, which would help you to create your own IAM policy. Here we would select something and the result would be a policy created for myself. So let me start by creating a service S3. Be aware about what I'm looking for. I am looking to create a policy for S3 full access and EC2 full access. Either you can create separate policies for these two type of action, or you can combine them into one policy. I would combine them into one and we'll call it developer policy. So which service I am looking for? All the services would be displayed here. I am interested only into Amazon S3 as of now. So I have selected Amazon S3 as a service here. Okay, now see this. So this is my S3 service. What specific actions I want to allow? So in that, I would be selecting which action. I can select very granular way of doing the things. See this. So if I select read, in the read itself, these are individual API call which I can give. I can say, okay, you can only get bucket, you can only get object torrent, you can get bucket tagging. These are all get policies, which is basically a read policy for my object and bucket. I may give you write permission. Write would also include delete permission. So here, if you can see, you can delete object if I give you. My requirement is to give every available action in S3. So I would be selecting all AWS S3 action. If I select this, basically I have entitled everything for this policy. So it is basically representing S3 colon star. 10 list, 52 read, 10 tagging, 41 write, 15 permission management. These are all there selected for me. Now, here is my resource. If I want, I could put a restriction on only a bucket or only on object, but I am making it a little easier right now. I would say no, I am trying to give it on all resources. I don't want to put any restriction. Right? Is it a best practice? Probably not, but I'm just giving a demo here. So I'm selecting it and I can put some condition also. That's how I can create a policy. Once I'm happy with this, I can go ahead and say, okay, I am looking to add more permission also. Remember, I have to give S3 and EC2 permission. So in same policy, I can add additional permission. Right. So what is the additional permission I am giving? I am choosing a service here. This time I am choosing a service which is called EC2 because that we can utilize it. Right. So we are utilizing here EC2 instances. This is my EC2 service. What kind of action I want to allow on EC2? I am being little generous here. I would say I want to allow everything here. Right now, I don't want to put any restriction. So I would say, okay, I am going to put all EC2 action in this particular case. So all EC2 actions would be allowed to my user as of now, should not be an issue. All EC2 actions. Okay, done. And then I can say, okay, on any specific resource, probably not. I am looking to provide this on all the resources. So in this section also, I should be able to select every available resource. So I see this one. This is a long list of resources, and I can say not a specific one, but on all resources. I could be specific to a one EC2 instance if I need to, or one EBS volume if I want to. I'm not putting any condition, and I'm happy now. Let me move forward, give it a name, and we will see that how this policy looks like.